Hi, this is Matt McLean, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to use Musescore as a sandbox to work on some of the concepts covered in the rhythm and meter module, Module 8. And we're going to go down to Musescore here. This is a free cross-platform software that I introduced in Module 6. So the first thing we're going to do is create a new score. That's the default, and then I'm just going to call this "This is fun." It will be, you'll see. And then go to the next step, and I'm just going to pick the grant staff, and the default instrument will be a piano. This is something you'll probably be working with a lot in the future if you continue with the theory sequence. And then if I hit continue again, you can pick a key signature if you want. Just to keep it simple, I'm not going to use one. And then I'm going to go to continue again, and we have to make some more decisions in terms of the meter. And this is the most common meter, 4/4 time. That's the default. You can use this up button. You can experiment with things that we're going to actually take a look at in Module 9 with odd time signatures. But for now, keep it either quadruple time, which is a 4 in the numerator, triple time, which is a 3, or duple time, which is a 2. Just to keep things super simple, we're going to use 4/4 time. You can also call it common time and use the C button. Now, at the end of the material in the e-textbook and the module, I actually mentioned pickup measures, because in standard music notation, every note within a measure needs to be accounted for with either a note or a rest, with the exception of a pickup measure. So if you want to have like a couple notes, let's just do it for kicks. Let's give ourselves 2 quarter notes of pickup. So you'll put those notes in, and then you don't need to account for those 2 missing rests, 2 quarter note rests. And then you can pick how many bars. I'm just going to leave it there at 32. And then the default is 120 beats a minute. That's your standard walking tempo. You can pick anything, and you can actually change it once you get into the tune. Let's just stick with 120 beats a minute now. Now I'm going to hit done, and we're off to the races. So notice that it gives us our tempo marking in beats per minute, BPM right here, 120 beats per minute. That is exactly 2 pulses per second. It has our meter, our time signature. Those 2 terms are synonymous at 4/4 times. The numerator and denominator are right on top of one another, and they come right after a clef. There is a quiz question about that. So they come to the right of a clef. And then let's have fun with entering some notes. So to get to your note palette, it's going to be up here in this row. Notice that all of the note values are things that, for the most part, were covered in this module. So starting right here with the whole notes, each time value is cut in half. There's a half note, half of a half is, well, quarter, down to an 1/8 note, 16th. There are actually 32nd notes. It tells you right below it what it is. 64th note and 128th note. So you can go really crazy. What are these over here? Ooh, a double whole note and a longa. Wow. Probably won't need one of those. We can actually do this with a tie, either of these two. I'll show you that in just a sec. Let's just make it super boring. No, fun, I mean. And enter some quarter notes. So then we just click on the note. And then we're going to enter our pickup here. I'm just going to add, I don't want that note. I'm just using my arrow keys to arrow up and down. I have 2 notes of a pickup. This is kind of like that Billy Strayhorn tune, Chelsea Bridge, where it has a pickup. Chelsea Bridge, I think, had 3 beats of pickup. I only have 2. So let's actually just put the same melody that I had in the module here. This one's super boring. So notice what happens when you put notes in. Let's go back. I'm going to delete that note. So when I have 3 notes in, it automatically accounts for the missing note with the rest. It knows. That's the beauty of these engraving programs, is a lot of the stuff like the stem direction, it gets right, the note shape, the length of the stem, things that are actually pretty hard to do if you're working with pencil and paper and you've never done it before, even just drawing the clefs. Everything is perfect. You can give this to a musician and they wouldn't even blink. Like, this looks like a pro did it. So yeah, and you can also enter rests in with this tool here. So I'm just going to click on the rest tool. And now you can see I've got this cool, perfect calligraphy rest. I'll put a rest right there. So now, yeah, we've accounted for all 4 beats within this measure. Everything is perfect. It's not the melody I wanted, so let's go back and enter some more notes in here. Okay, and then you can do things like add ties in. There's a tie tool here. So from the module, remember a tie. I'm going to just click on the tool. Ties to click on it in a second. Ties a note to another note of the exact same letter name. So if I have another F after this F, even across a bar line, you can, whoopsie, that's not the note I want to tie. You actually have to click on the note. Click on the note here, it's highlighted in blue that you want to tie. Boom. Okay, so now I've tied it across the bar line. So I'm actually going to undo that. Let's just listen to what I have and then listen to it with the tie. So you can hear it hit that high F note that I can't sing twice. Let's go ahead. I'm going to select this and then tie it. Now let's listen. And you won't, when it plays this note, it will actually just be held over from the previous measure. Check it out. All right, cool. It's turning into a nice little melody. There are some other really interesting things covered in this chapter, one of which is the term syncopation, which was sort of glossed over in the chapter in the e-textbook. I bring it up on the first page of the module, but it's one of the most important aspects of music, and because all music is syncopated to some degree. And what syncopation means is that there are notes that are not that don't fall on beats or on pulses. This melody here, one of the reasons it's kind of boring is every note actually falls on a beat. That's why it sounds kind of predictable, even more boring than a little nursery rhyme. Syncopation is when you start to add notes that fall off the beat, and that's when things get really interesting. And a lot of cool music is a combination of lines like this that aren't syncopated juxtaposed with things that are syncopated. So let's just go crazy here. I'm going to pick a 16th note tool. Whoops. I don't want to put it in that note. Enter my note entry first, grab a 16th note. I'm going to start dropping some stuff in the bass clef here. Notice when I dropped this, so I'm going to move my note entry away so I can use my cursor to point. Notice that I entered one 16th note. It accounts for the missing notes within that beat, this quarter note beat. There are 3 missing 16th notes. There's 1 accounted for here, and then 2 by the 8th note rest. And then the other missing quarter note, and then here's a half note rest. So I also covered rest too. Notice that a half rest sits on this line, the center line, and then a whole rest. Think of yourself as a car driving along here, and you fall into the hole. It's a whole rest. That's how it was taught to me, and I've remembered it ever since. So let's go back to our note entry tool, and we're just going to start going crazy here. And let's see, I'm going to actually purposely avoid some notes and put some rests in on downbeats. Oops, not there. Blah. On that downbeat, I'm going to take the note off. And then let's go back. Not a rest. Let's enter some more crazy notes in here. Over here. And then let's put one over here. Let's put another rest in. Just to really break up this pulse, make it really kind of crazy and freaky. So we have a boring line, and then we have the super syncopated line. And that should make it more interesting. Whether or not that's good, well, remember this is fun, right? So let's see. Let's go back and hit play. Yeah, so that's starting to be kind of cool and interesting. I recommend getting in here and start clicking around. I need to point out one more important thing because it comes up on a quiz question, and that is the default setting at least in Musescore here. When you start entering 8th notes in, I'm going to enter some 8th notes in way over here. Let's see. just have a little descending line here. Notice that the way they're beamed is it beams, get my pointer back, they're beamed in such a way that there are 4 eighth notes beamed together. And the textbook, I tend to agree with actually the textbook. I like to see the beaming such that notes with a certain note within a certain pulse are beamed together. And a lot of piano music is actually written like this, but you can definitely break this up. And there are 2 ways to do it. So the quick way to do it is you can go to the beam properties from the palette down here. And let's see, we're actually going to click on the note that we want to start the beam break. Let's open this up. And this is going to be the start of a new beam. So click on that. And then notice if I click on the second note of a group, it's going to mess it up. I don't want to do that. Does not look right to me. So I'm going to undo that. Let's actually undo that other move because there's arguably a better way to do that. And if we go back over here to the time signature, if you, on a Mac, it's Control, I think it's Command on a PC. If you click on the time signature and edit the element, I know this is kind of ticky-tack, but once you do it, you can do it at the beginning of the document and it'll be a global preset. So you click on Edit Element. Sorry. Edit Element. Sorry. Not Edit Element. Time Signature Properties. Click on Time Signature Properties. And you can adjust the beaming here. So if you just click on the note that you want to start the new beam, you can do that. If you want to rebeam it, you just click it again. But this is the way I would like to see it, and this is the way the textbook likes to see it. So a measure 4/4 would have, if you had eighth notes in it, they would be 4 groups of 2. So I hit OK, and no? Come on. Oh, here's why. I didn't have both of them selected. Let's do that again. So you click, make sure you have both meters selected. Time signature properties. Do that again. Clickety, clickety. Okay, whew, okay. So, like I said, it's a sandbox. You learn by making mistakes. Change one of these notes here. Drat. Let's fix that. Blop. Okay, so now, ready to make some awesome music. You can do some other really cool stuff just while I'm in here. I like to have fun. Let me show you how to do something kind of cool. If you click off your note entry tool, if you click just somewhere in the measure off of a note, you can highlight the whole measure, and then you can do, like you're on a Mac, it's Command C, Command V for copy and paste. You can actually you can highlight something and delete it, but you can click on it. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste this over here. Whoop. And then I'm going to use my arrow keys, and I'm actually going to drop my melody down just to do something kind of cool here. And then I'm going to take this measure and do the same thing. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to copy it into this measure. And I'm going to use my arrow key, make it go way up here. And then you can do this, I'm doing like an exchange voice thing. So this one starts on a C, this one starts on a C, that one starts on a C. Let's check it out. Yeah, hours and hours of fun. You can see how I've been filling my day lately. Okay, so just get in there and start playing around with it. You'll see like how things get beamed. It does it for you. Learn by trial and error. If you have any questions, shoot me a message, and if we collectively uncover something really cool, I'll push out a message to the class. Eventually, we are going to be writing music for projects that we're going to be submitting, but right now, this is more of a sandbox idea to work with some of the things that we've covered in the textbook and my module. All right, have fun, take care.